Walker Evans Dodge is the dominating force in the unlimited class. Larry Ragland's Chevrolet rules the full-size pickups. And David Ashley's Ford is the fastest of the four-wheel drives. But Jack Johnson starts number 1. And if his Jeep will hold together, he could be the winner today on ESPN Speed World. ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Today, from Las Vegas, Nevada, it's the High Desert Racing Association's Gold Coast 300 Desert Race. Today's ESPN Speed World event is brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Budweiser, the king of beers. With that clean, crisp, cold taste, nothing beats a Bud. We're at the Gold Coast Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada for today's Gold Coast 300 Desert Race. The cars are right now being inspected and they're on view for the public, and shortly we'll be moving out to the starting line. Hello everyone, I'm Jerry Garrett, and working alongside today is veteran off-road champion Dave Schopp. And Dave, what kind of a race can we expect here in the Gold Coast 300?
Jerry, I think today you'll see what I would call a sprint race in the desert. It is a 300-mile race, which is short for a desert race. These drivers will immediately be on the gas.
Can you pick a favorite or two out of the lineup for us?
Well, I think there's several favorites. Walker Evans' truck has been running extremely well. Jack Johnson is a local favorite. His car has come a long way in the last little while. Rob McCachran, also a local favorite, has an extremely reliable truck, which was proved by Rob Gordon previously. Larry Ragland has got a very, very good truck in the Chevrolet, and there's several others that are really capable of winning this race.
Well, we could see just as much of a crowd at the end of this race as we see at the beginning. Right now, let's take a look at the layout that we'll be racing on today.
This race consists of 3 77-mile laps. The first 2 miles are pavement. After that, it goes directly into your typical Nevada, dusty, silty, rocky desert. To sum this race up in 2 words, it is short and tough.
And Jack Johnson has a huge advantage starting out in front, especially with these weather conditions. Skies are partly cloudy, temperatures are warm, and humidity is low, but look at that wind, calm. The dust is just going to hang there. So stay tuned with us. We'll be back with the start of today's Gold Coast 300 right after this. To the Gold Coast 300, I'm Jerry Garrett, and you are looking at Larry Ragland, who is about to start today's race. And so is Jack Johnson, who is with our Dave Schopp.
Jack Johnson, you're the first car off the line today. I know that you've put in a lot of time. The crew's worked very hard on this car. I know in the last few weeks the car's come a long way. What are your feelings this morning on starting this race?
Well, it ought to be really good, Dave. We've got your old crew chief, Roger Subith, working on the car now, and he's done a lot of work to really go forward with the car. Really think it's reliable now, and it's ultra fast. So if we can get it to the end, running dust-free, I think we're in really good shape. I think we can pull this one off.
I know the cars look very good in practice, and the best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Well, here are some other drivers who are buckling up. Scoop Vessels and John Kennedy. Glenn Harris and Brendan Gaughan. And now Jack Johnson is putting on his helmet, and the start is just moments away.
Jerry, as Jack mentioned, reliability is the key for him today. He's driving a new Jeep Cherokee, which has yet to finish this year.
Looking at some of the other drivers getting ready for the race, there are 15 classes of vehicles today, about 150 starters. And here is the #1 guy off the line, Jack Johnson, about to get the green flag from starter Andy Dishong, and the Gold Coast 300 is underway.
And here's Jack Johnson headed down that first 2 miles of asphalt. This was the old Las Vegas to LA highway in the days before the interstate highways.
And back at the start line, here is Brian Collins. He is actually the only former winner of this race who's competing here today. And now nearing the end of the pavement is Jack Johnson. This is the end of the easy stuff. He's about to head out into the real desert now. Now it's Walker Evans' turn to get the green flag.
Jerry, these cars leave one at a time every 30 seconds. They're really racing the clock in this race, but try telling some of the drivers that.
Yeah, they don't want to know they're racing the clock. They want to race each other. Here's Jack Johnson out front, and you can see he is enjoying dust-free vision.
He figures the first lap, dust-free, will give him about a 10-minute advantage going into the second lap, Jerry.
And here is second place, Brian Collins. He's running second on the clock and second on the track at this time. And here is Ed Herbst. He is third at the moment.
He usually drives with his brothers, but they're all in separate cars today.
That's Collins' dust out in front of him, by the way. Now back to the start line, and here is Brian Stewart. He is first off the line among the Class 8 pickups. That's the two-wheel drive, full-size pickups. And no, you are not seeing double. This is not Brian Stewart again. This is his teammate, Walker Evans. And Dave, what's the difference between their two trucks?
Well, Jerry, Walker says these two trucks are identical. However, they run two classes so they can run for two separate championships rather than race each other.
I guess the only thing different on them is the numbers. Whoops, Walker goes up on two wheels. You can see he's pressing hard early. Now back at the start line once again is Lynn St. James. And yes, this is the same Lynn St. James who races sports cars.
Ford's asked Lynn St. James to try her hand at desert racing here today, Jerry.
And this is kind of what she's going to see. We're inside right now with our Shell Truck Guard in-car camera, and this is Walker Evans carrying the camera today. And just listen to that V8.
Evans has a fellow named John Garrison building his engines now. Since Garrison started earlier this year, everybody at Walker Evans' shop has had a smile on their face.
Real reliability, as we said, reliability is the key in this race today. Maybe we ought to put an in-car camera in with this guy, though, Dave.
Only trouble is there wouldn't be much to see. Jack Johnson is out front and running away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, there's nobody in front of him. I guess it's a little too good to be true, he's thinking right now.
Well, Jerry, reliability has to weigh heavily on his mind. They've had a lot of problems with this car, and it seems like they're getting them all worked out at this point.
Well, still in second place is Brian Collins, and he seems to be running a little bit more conservatively than he usually does. Perhaps he's just playing a waiting game to see what happens to that Jeep out in front of him. Earlier, we asked Brian what he expected from today's race.
A lot of high-speed roads, so that's I prefer that. I worry a little bit about the trucks and the high-speed roads, but all we can do is give it our best, and like I said, hope for lots of luck and hope everything turns out okay.
It's going to be a pretty intense race with the distance they're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, they've shortened it up a little bit, and that's actually an advantage for us because our cars only seem to go about 250 miles at a very intense pace.
Brian's got reliability worries, too. No wonder. This is a tough course, and believe it or not, there is a mathematical way to calculate how tough.
It's rated 5.86 on a scale of 1 to 10, and what that means is 10 is almost nearly impassable. Actually, some of these vehicles that you see behind me couldn't even make it, and a scale of 0 would be a pavement race. So it's rates almost towards an impassable course, but it is passable. And the way we rate it is we go around the course and we just judge by the bumps, by the rocks, and everything on how each section is, and then total that up through a computer, and we come up with 5.86.
Well, this is a tough course, but so far it doesn't look like it for Jack Johnson anyway. We'll take a look at the big pickup truck class battle when we return.
These four cars are competitively priced, but only one comes with an optional fuel-injected V6 engine. or standard anti-lock brakes. The 1992 Pontiac radically redesigned for 1992 with aerodynamic styling and features that are unmistakably Pontiac. Your 1992 Grand Am is waiting for you at your Inland Empire Pontiac dealer now.
Come and celebrate the House of Gold's 7th anniversary sale and take advantage of their special sale prices on rings and things that dazzle and delight. The Valley's hallmark of excellence for fine jewelry since 1984 invites you to let their friendly professional staff assist you in all your jewelry needs. Everything from diamonds to gold and silver jewelry, custom design jewelry, and watch repair. Turn your heart into gifts of gold during the House of Gold's 7th anniversary sale. Now at 2 locations, Sears Plaza and the Carmelita Center in Hampton.
It is tipped and caught by Tillman.
The waddle.
And it's gone!
Welcome back to the Gold Coast 300. I'm Jerry Garrett along with analyst Dave Schopp. And Dave, look at this dust.
That's Rob McCachran chasing Brian Stewart.
Yeah, and Brian is having some dust problems of his own out there in front. Look at this. He is chasing the last of the unlimited cars that started in front of him. He was the first of the trucks to start. So we mentioned they start by classes. Dave, what about driving in dust like this? What do you have to do as a driver to combat this?
Well, I think experience is the key word here, Jerry. These race courses we've run for several years. The driver has a pretty good memory. It can help him a lot. However, there is a lot of luck involved here, too.
I'll say, I remember a couple of years ago out here, Dave, we had an in-car camera with you and co-driver Tony Becker, and you guys were on 2 wheels all through here.
Yeah, that particular race, Jerry, we made up our mind we were going to run that truck just about as hard as it would go.
Well, look at this. This is what Rob McCachran has to look at behind Brian Stewart. I guess the big trucks churn up a lot more dust than the buggies do, Dave.
Definitely so. When they all get together, they raise one cloud of dust. There's no doubt.
Look at what Brian Stewart sees. This is our Shell truck guard in-car camera with him, and right now that sunlight and the dust combination is too much for the camera. Let's take a look back now at 3rd place. This is Larry Ragland, and fortunately for him, the dust isn't quite so bad. He's hanging back there a little bit. Mercifully, McCachran has also found a break in the dust, but only for a moment. As you can see up ahead, he's about ready to go back in it. McCachran is approaching the first of several checkpoints located at strategic points around the course. These help discourage shortcutting. They also help officials and the media track the progress of vehicles around the course.
These checkpoints require all drivers to make a complete stop. Their number is then logged in. And here we see Brian Stewart just leaving the checkpoint, and now Rob McCachran is through also.
About 20 seconds separates them on the course right now. You know, for all those dust-eating checkpoint workers, most of whom are volunteers, a word of appreciation is appropriate here. And here is Brian Stewart coming up the hill out of a sandy wash area, about to make a hard left turn onto a high-speed section of what they call Power Line Road, Dave.
The dust on this road is really going to severely limit how fast he can go. This is a high-speed area, though.
Let's look back down the road. Rob McCachran should be coming into view any second now. Yes, he's still about 20 seconds behind Brian Stewart.
I got to tell you, this is really aggravating to be this close behind another vehicle and not to be able to overtake him.
Well, out of the dust now, a little farther down the road, comes Brian Stewart. How fast is he going through here, Dave?
Oh, he's hitting about 60 miles an hour, I would say, in an area where these big trucks could easily run over 100, Jerry.
Well, we can hear Rob McCachran coming along behind Brian Stewart. Now we can see him. See that light on the rear of McCachran's truck? That is a recent HDRA safety innovation. If you are overtaking a slower vehicle in dense dust or fog, that light will show up and hopefully help you stop or get out of the way in time to avoid an accident. That's a big concern later in the race when the fast vehicles will start lapping the slower ones.
And, Jerry, that's not too far away now. I think we're coming up on that time fairly soon.
Well, now we are at the highest point on the course. This is McCulloch Pass, and that is Ray Kroll with Brian Stewart right behind him.
This is a super critical area here. If you miss one of these turns, it could mean the whole ball game.
Just go tumbling right over a cliff. Rob McCachran goes on through, and here is a little bit more panoramic view of what we're talking about McCulloch Pass. It's beautiful up here, but very dangerous. Now here is Brian Stewart coming down the hill, Ray Kroll out in front of him, and they are negotiating the last of several tight switchbacks down through this mountain pass.
What Brian Stewart is doing right now is absolutely like driving on marbles.
And once again, we can see the narrow margin between Stewart and McCachran, who just came into the screen from the left. Back inside now with Brian Stewart's truck, and whoa, just goes careening around that corner. Now he's headed down a fairly straight stretch of road, but still very bumpy. Let's check in again on Lynn St. James.
Before she came out here, she took the time to learn some things about the desert, the do's and don'ts, the problems, etc. And that's something that any newcomer to this desert should definitely do.
One of the first things that Lynn learned was that the entire race course is on public land, managed by the Bureau of Land Management. The BLM has some rules that the racers must abide by. One is to stay on existing roads or trails. Damage to the environment can occur when drivers venture off the marked course. And as Lynn learned firsthand from BLM officials, the environment is fragile out here. The desert is home to many creatures, particularly the desert tortoise.
In this general area, there's probably about 50 tortoises per square mile. This is what we call a low to moderate density area. Some other areas that we consider high densities have up to around 100 to 150 tortoises per square mile.
The desert tortoise is a threatened species, so racers take special steps to avoid harming them. Active tortoise burrows are fenced off and marked as disqualification zones. One racer was disqualified earlier this year for getting lost in a tortoise area. But generally, HDRA's record in protecting the environment near its courses has been almost spotless.
Well, the race promoter has been absolutely wonderful in complying with all the necessary requirements. It's been a real difficult time for all promoters and off-road enthusiasts in general, but they have proven that they are taking the responsibility on and doing their best to comply with necessary regulations.
The desert seems so limitless, it's hard to imagine all the environmental limitations. But racers like Lynn have been taking the time to learn about them, and their education has paid off, with permission to use the land for racing, as long as the rules are followed.
Recreational off-road use of the public land is a historic use of the public land, and through actions like these, which minimize damage to the environment, it helps us in our multiple use of the public land so that many people can continue to enjoy it for a long time, and that's very important to us.
Well, our thanks to the BLM for taking the time to visit with us and with Lynn. We'll see what the leaders are up to when we come back.
One manufacturer has more NASCAR victories than anyone. More NHRA Pro Stock victories than anyone. More consecutive IMSA GTO victories at Daytona than anyone. And more off-road victories in the last 5 years than anyone. That manufacturer is Ford. No wonder nobody enjoys the weekend like Ford.
Warning, up to half of all engine wear can happen when you start your car. At this critical time, tests prove Quaker State 10W30 protects better than any other leading 10W30 motor oil. In an overwhelming majority of engine tests, Quaker State 10W30 flowed faster to all vital parts. In all size engines tested, Quaker State protected faster, so it protected better. Get the best protection against startup wear. Today's Quaker State, it's one tough motor oil.
Back at the Gold Coast 300, I'm Jerry Garrett along with Dave Schopp, and this is race leader Jack Johnson, already lapping traffic as he's into his second of 3 laps. Plenty of traffic behind Lynn St. James. That's Mike McClune mowing down the Mesquite as he tries to pass St. James on the left. And oh, that hurts. McClune hits a hidden embankment and demonstrates the dangers of leaving the roadway.
That's George Anthill over on the right. And uh-oh, look out. He pulls right into the path of a speeding Aaron Hawley.
And gets nerfed in the process. Meanwhile, nobody has actually passed Lynn St. James yet. She certainly knows she has company on the road because She saw Mike McClune nearly launch himself into her cab. Dave, what's proper driving etiquette here?
Well, Jerry, in this situation, she may not even know these two cars are back there. You know, the vision out of the rear of these vehicles with as much dust as there is on that rear window is practically impossible.
Well, Lynn's trying to be conservative on this first lap, but she pulls out of the way, and that's probably the best thing for her to do. Both cars go past her. Let's take another look at what happened to Mike McClune.
And Mike's pulled out to the left here, Jerry, to pass Lynn St. James. Anytime you pull off the race course, you're bound to encounter a problem once in a while, and he finds a hole here that was hidden in back of a bush and pays the price.
I guess he's lucky he didn't roll over there. Now let's go back to Lynn St. James' latest traffic problem. That's Evan Evans passing her. He, by the way, is the son of Walker Evans, and right now he is leading the class for big sport utility vehicles like that Chevy Blazer.
And Evan is doing a tremendous job at this point.
And, well, I guess someone's rolled over there, and that co-driver has gone around to try and warn people away from the accident up ahead, and uh-oh, Lynn St. James has gotten into this somehow, Dave.
Looks like she went off to the left to miss that truck, Jerry, and slid into the ditch here a little bit. Oh, there she goes. She's back rolling again, and it looks like she did a great job of getting around that.
Tough day for her so far. I think she needs one of those bumper stickers that says, "Are we having fun yet?" Kind of a dangerous situation as some of the other vehicles go around here, right on the apex of that corner. It's Robin Tulliners and Dan Smith. Now let's go on up the road a little ways and see what's going on with the leaders in the four-wheel drive class. That's actually the class that Lynn St. James is in. She's bringing up the rear, and at the head of the pack is Mike Swellinger.
Mike runs as an independent here, Jerry. The truck's about 2 years old. It looks like it's doing very well today. This team's had its share of rough breaks, but looks like they're overcoming most of them in this point.
I seem to recall a couple of years ago when they debuted this truck, Dave, they won a race right away, but they haven't won anything since then.
You know, that's the way it is a lot. You take a new truck out, the truck does very well, you go home and your worries have just started.
It's kind of the situation that's taken place this year for this guy, Steve Kelly, who's running third in the class. He won his first race out, but then it's gotten a little tougher for him since then.
Well, Steve's a veteran driver, and he's really done well with this truck. It's had a few problems along the way, but if anybody can bring this truck home up front, Steve's the guy to do it.
And here is the leader of the pack. This is David Ashley in his F-150, and this is a new truck as well, but it's done real well after some early problems, Dave.
You know, Jerry, this team used the success of their Class 3 Bronco in building this truck. Everything that worked on the Bronco went on this truck. It has a longer wheelbase, but for a first-year vehicle, it has really been amazing.
Now back up front with Brian Stewart in the Class 8 battle, and he is overshooting this corner. I think our cameraman wanted to be someplace else right about that time. He's pulling into another one of the checkpoints out here. He continues to lead Rob McCachran by about 20 seconds. Here comes McCachran, headed for the same turnoff.
Rob comes right on through the turn very smoothly and right on up to the checkpoint.
He probably picked up a couple of seconds there, and I know he made our cameraman breathe a little easier in the process by making that corner correctly. Now, let's go on up the course a little bit and see what's going on in the unlimited class. That's Troy Herbst, brother of Tim Herbst, who we showed you a little earlier. And right behind him is Glenn Harris. Now here comes Bob Ritchie. He's just seconds behind those other two. Really tight through here. And right behind Bob Ritchie is Ray Kroll. If we see Ray Kroll, I guess Brian Stewart is not going to be too far behind. And you can hear that big V8 coming out through the desert real clearly now. Stewart wants in the worst way to pass Kroll, but there's only going to be more traffic ahead of him once he does. And finally, here comes Rob McCachran. Close racing here in the Gold Coast 300. We'll be back for more of it right after this.
Are you looking for the perfect gift for the man on your Christmas list? Take this simple quiz. Does someone you know like sports? Watch sports? Read sports? Guess what? You've got a sports fan. So just call and get him a gift like nothing he has ever seen or heard before. This this exclusive video, The Hidden NFL.
This is the NFL, which stands for not for long.
Hidden mics and hidden cameras take him inside the huddle, so he'll know what it's really like out there.
Why you lift all them weights? You hear it?
Free with your paid gift subscription to Sports Illustrated.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs.
Just call and surprise him with 54 issues for just $1.29 each, over 55% off the cover price.
Yeah! This ain't a tennis match!
You won't be billed till next year. Or for faster delivery, use your credit card.
I gotta go make another
Call now for the special gift he'll love.
Hurry it up, hurry it up.
Sports Illustrated.
Yeah? Do you like it?
Yes.
This is Brian Collins running second right now in the Gold Coast 300 and chasing the dust clouds of leader Jack Johnson. Jerry Garrett along with analyst Dave Shop. And Dave, here is Jack Johnson. He's continuing to set a blistering pace.
This looks like the race this team's been waiting for all year, Jerry. The car's out front. Every mile this car goes, Jack becomes a little more confident in it. This may be their day.
Good race, too, for Ed Herbst, who is third behind Brian Collins. You can barely see him coming through the dust there. Think of what it looks like out his front windshield. Here's a good look now at Walker Evans, who is running fourth. Evans and his co-driver John Searle are having a pretty smooth ride, it looks like, so far. But not all that smooth, as our truck guard in-car camera shows, Dave.
Those helicopter shots, Jerry, tend to be pretty deceiving. Inside, it's still a pretty rough ride.
And this is probably one of the smoothest riding vehicles you'll ever see in an off-road race.
Most definitely.
And here comes our fifth place car. This is Gary Himes, who's a Hollywood stuntman when he's not racing.
This may be Gary's best run, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, he's got a new engine in that buggy, and it really goes fast now. Right behind Himes comes Troy Herbst, and we're again picking up that group of vehicles that's being pressed by Brian Stewart and Rob McCachran. Close behind him is Glenn Harris. Glenn's another one of these vehicles that's backed by our race sponsor today, the Gold Coast Hotel. And here comes Bob Ritchie right through on Harris's tailpipe. And Ray Kroll still having a solid run. So that means that Brian Stewart should be coming along any minute now. And you can hear the big V8 coming through the dust. Still having a hard time catching up with Ray Kroll, but that dust cloud he's laying down is going to keep McCachran from catching him.
And as Rob McCachran comes through, this would be a great time to show you how these drivers keep the dust out of their engines.
Before the race, UMP Products showed us this new air cleaner system that some of the drivers have switched to. That little air filter element there fits inside the canister down below. The fins on the element spin the dust around and blow it out the discharge tube. The dust never gets in the carburetor. And the idea for this system, by the way, came from similar systems on farm tractors, of all things.
Because of the size of this unit, it can only be used on trucks.
And imagine that breaks your heart as a truck driver, Dave, to know that the buggy guys can't use that.
Definitely.
This is Larry Ragland we're watching right now. He's third behind that furious duel we've been watching between Rob McCachran and Brian Stewart.
Ragland switched to this team the first of this year, and it's been a great combination.
Well, not much dust for Ragland. Oh, there's the reason why. Brian Stewart's on the side of the road. Ragland just passed him. That'll move him into second place. We better go see what's wrong with Brian Stewart.
That's co-driver Bob Foster out assessing the damage, and it doesn't look good.
Well, we don't know. We got some major problems. It looks like it, and the brake pedal's on the floor. Looks like we might have broke a brake line up in there or something, too, because it's pumping fluid out, so we'll get it going, hopefully.
You need some points out of this race, don't you?
I needed to win this race. It was very important to our whole team, but I'll have to give them that. Well, it's not over yet. We can get this going. You never know. It's a long day still.
Well, there's a disappointed young fellow. But here's a guy that's a little happier about seeing Brian Stewart on the side of the road. This is Dave Weston, and that's going to move him up into third in the Class 8 battle. And that's a good run for him, Dave.
Looks like Dave Westheim is having a great day. You know, all year this truck has been super reliable, and it looks like it's holding true to form today.
Well, this is Jim McKenzie. He's heading a little wide. Oh, road sign, roadkill. Let's take another look.
Got a little wide on the turn, Jerry, and paid the price. guillotined the road sign.
Well, that sign says road ends, and that's the end of the road for that sign. That's the post sticking out from under the car, and that's not good. This is not good as well. This is Class 4-liter David Ashley off to the side of the road, and looks like it's just a flat tire, but that's going to be a problem for him, Dave.
Well, this is an example of where a co-driver comes in handy, Jerry. David's got to do all this by himself, and it's definitely going to cost him a little time.
And it's going to cost him a lead right there. That's Mike Swellinger going past. He takes the lead in the class.
And that's just got to put Mike Swellinger on top of the world here. There isn't a harder driver out here, and this team really works on that vehicle.
I'm sure it won't take Ashley too long to change that tire, so he should be back pressuring Mike again pretty soon now. Here's our race leader once again, Jack Johnson. He has a little bit more of a cushion now. Brian Collins has apparently dropped back with some kind of a mechanical problem, and that's moved Ed Herbst up to second place overall. We see Jack coming up on a slower vehicle about to pass him. He's had very little dust to contend with today, and that's been a real bonus for him. He's about to begin this final circuit around this 70-mile course. Uh-oh, this is trouble for our third-place driver. That's Walker Evans. And that is co-driver John Searle walking around apparently to give Walker the bad news.
From the trail of oil leading out from under that truck in the rear there, Jerry, I'd say it looks fairly terminal.
Well, a little better news for Walker Evans' son, Evan. He is still leading the sport utility class. And, up on two wheels as he goes around that corner. A lot of shuffling among the leaders. We'll be back to sort it out right after this.
This ESPN program is brought to you by the complete line of Vicks Formula 44 cough medicines.
Man, last week my cold was so bad. I was coughing, my head pounded, my nose ran. I'm sure I even had a fever. My cough medicine just couldn't handle that kind of cold. They had this in the infirmary, Vicks Formula 44M, M for multi-symptom. You know, it's better than the leading brand because it's complete cold care and a cough medicine. Pretty soon my body was telling me, hey, slacker, get back to work. That's some medicine.
Vicks Formula 44, a better type of relief.
In the last 5 years, one truck manufacturer has won more off-road races than anyone, including 4 class championships in 1990 and the mini and heavy metal championships. That truck manufacturer is Ford. And that kind of winning performance goes beyond the winner's circle.
Warning, up to half of all engine wear can happen when you start your car. At this critical time, tests prove Quaker State 10W30 protects better than any other leading 10W30 motor oil. In an overwhelming majority of engine tests, Quaker State 10W30 flowed faster to all vital parts. In all size engines tested, Quaker State protected faster, so it protected better. Get the best protection against startup wear. Today's Quaker State, it's one tough motor oil.
Welcome back to the Gold Coast 300. I'm Jerry Garrett along with Dave Schopp, and you are looking at Evan Evans, whose lead in the sport utility class has disappeared. Evans is in the pits apparently for some lengthy repairs. That should give the class lead to Danny Ashcraft. But wait a minute now. Ashcraft is on the sidelines a few miles away, and from the looks of it, that could be the end of his day. That should move the third-place driver now up to first place, and that is Mike Leslie. And there is Mike Leslie, and at least, Dave, he's still running.
This is an area of what we call whoop-de-doos that Mike is coming into. The shorter wheelbase vehicles in this area really pay the price, Jerry. And you can see Mike Leslie is definitely earning his wages today.
Well, it looks like Mike Leslie has some company now. That's John Swift. He's found a little smoother way around, and he's going to take the lead from Leslie. What a move.
From fourth to first in a matter of minutes. They say from a champ to a chump in one bump.
Well, right now, here's a guy that's a champ. This is Scott Douglas, and he is running out front in the unlimited mini pickup class.
This is really a surprise for this truck. He's racing 2 vehicles, Both the Nissan and the Ford run more horsepower, and it's a surprise to see Scott right up front with them.
Well, this is Manny Esquera. He's running in second place now. He's had to stop for a while, let his co-driver get out because they had a broken exhaust, and it melted the seat belt brackets right under there, and his seat belts came out, so he couldn't ride any longer. Now, this is third place Roger Mears, and he is driving furiously, trying to catch up with those two drivers in front of him. In fact, he went off the course right there because I guess he couldn't see in the dust where the course actually went. He was down for quite a while with apparently 2 blown front tires.
Boy, that must have been some impact. The dust is terrible in front of Mears, but he's refusing to slow down at all.
He must know that Manny Esquera is out in front of him because he'll do almost anything to get around Manny Esquera. Looks like he's off course again, looking for a way to get back on, and he's giving our helicopter fits trying to keep up with him. Let's widen out a little bit to see. Whoa, he's going off the course again and down over a cliff almost and into a canyon. Back up on the course now. Boy, that poor Nissan is just taking a beating.
Meanwhile, Esquera is having problems of his own fighting Scott Douglas's dust. Oh, what a day for him.
Well, Mears is still beating his brains out trying to catch up with Esquera, and believe it or not, he has caught up with him. And I guarantee you nothing is going to slow him down now. He's got Manny in his gun sights, and he's going to let him have it. He is just crushing rocks, driving over things he can't even see, but he's keeping his foot in the accelerator because he is not going to give up right now. He's gotten too close, and yeah, he's found a wide spot in the track, and I think he's going to get around him right here going down this hill, Dave.
You know, for years, these two have been running wheel to wheel with each other, and they have had some of the greatest races in desert racing.
Well, assuming there's anything left of Mears' truck, I guess he can go chase down Scott Douglas now.
Well, that should be a lot easier. It does not look at all like Scott's running fast at this point.
Well, here is the leader, Dan Smith's Ford Bronco, in what they call the short wheelbase four-wheel drive class. Second in that class belongs to Mike Lund's Pathfinder.
This is a four-wheel drive class, Jerry, but notice Lund is only using two-wheel drive. That makes him faster on the straightaways, but boy, it doesn't do much for him in this sand.
Whoa, run for cover. There goes Kurt LeDuc, it looks like, and he's about ready to take second place away from Lund.
All these class battles are really close.
Well, now here's the leader in the stock mini pickup class. This is Chuck Johnson. Usually he trades off driving with Johnny Johnson. They are no relation to each other, by the way, or to race leader Jack Johnson for that matter, but this race being so short, Chuck is doing all the driving.
They definitely figured in this race the time it took to change drivers might make the difference between winning and losing.
Well, that's Bill Dickton, who just went past. He's in a four-wheel drive class vehicle, looking back up the course now, and that is Spencer Lowe, and he is chasing Chuck Johnson.
And at this point, indeed, the driver change that Chuck Johnson didn't make is the difference.
Another look now at Chuck Johnson's Ford Ranger, and it is just one of 7 look-alike Rough Rider team vehicles competing out here. And, oh, Spencer Lowe has passed Bill Dickton, and he's moving closer now to Chuck Johnson.
Notice how well the amber light works in the dust for Spencer Lowe's truck.
And here's another one of those Rough Rider team vehicles, just behind the Johnson and Lowe battle, and this is the Ford Ranger of brothers Paul and Dave Simon. They're leading what is called the four-wheel drive class for mini pickups.
And this is another close race today.
Right in the Simon's dust, virtually, is Jerry McDonald's S10, and he's the class points leader right now, but he won't be after today if the Simons beat him.
You know, Jerry McDonald's crew chief, Jeff Lewis, is driving the team's new test vehicle in this race, and so far it's running a strong third.
And coming up the course right now is Jeff Lewis. He is staying behind his teammate at this point so as not to take points away from his teammate in this tight points battle between the Simons and Jerry McDonald. Stay with us. We'll have more from the Gold Coast 300 right after this.
For the first time ever, you can catch every punch, every stroke, and every dash of the Olympics. Because now, in addition to NBC coverage, you've got the power to choose between different Olympic events on 3 cable channels. Call 1-800-OLYMPIC for the Olympics triple cast of the 92 Summer Games and catch every moment.
Catch the fire behind the flame.
The Gold Rush is on at Gold's Gym Temecula. Gold's Gym is
awesome.
Gold's Gym is
excellent.
Gold's Gym.
It's hot.
Give the gift of health with a gift certificate for the holidays. 3 months for just $89. Join the Gold Rush at Gold's Gym in Temecula.
Garrett and Dave Shop back at the Gold Coast 300, and this is Dave Simon tangling in the silt beds now with Jim Temple. Simon's trying to cut Temple off on this corner, and he overshoots the whole thing and goes off the course. Temple comes back inside, and whoa, it looks like they collide, but Temple may come out of this thing with a better advantage. Another perspective now from our chopper cam shows Simon actually crashed into Temple right there. But still, Temple's able to keep going, stay on the gas a little better, and he comes out in front after all that.
Looks like Simon's got a flat tire, but of all places to have it right in front of your pit, how lucky can you be?
Well, he skids the Ranger to a stop and looks around for a little direction. His crew points him into place there, and quickly they go to work. The tire apparently only had the air knocked out of it because they gave it a little blast of air, and it's back up around like it's supposed to be again. They're checking the lug nuts, though. Looks like a couple of those were loose. Everything else seems okay, and the truck's down off the jacks and ready to go.
You're going to have a problem. That's got to be the place to have it, right in front of your pit.
Well, Simon's away, and he hangs on to the lead in the Mini 4x4 pickup class. Now, here's Chuck Johnson speeding by. A lot of these vehicles painted the same. A little bit confusing. Looked like Chuck's having a drink of Gatorade when he went by there. He's still leading the two-wheel drive mini pickup class. And here comes Darren York. He is up to second now in the Mini 4x4s behind the Simons. And going past right now, this is Jeff Lewis. Now, he'll take second place away as he goes over to his pits. He's taking second place away from Darren York. But he's going to be sitting in the pits for a little while.
And folks, if we haven't thoroughly confused you yet, as Darren York pulls back out onto the course, passing Jeff Lewis, he takes second place back.
Pit work is also complete now for our race leader, Jack Johnson. He has built a somewhat comfortable lead over Ed Herbst and Larry Ragland, and he is on his final lap.
Jack's always been known in this sport as a tough physical competitor, and it looks today like his car is up to the task.
Well, now here is fourth place Gary Himes into the pits, and this is his final pit stop. He has radioed the crew, gas only. That's just what he's getting. We mentioned that Himes is a movie stunt man. We understand so are some of his crew members.
Just good, solid pit work today here, Jerry. No stunts whatsoever.
Well, here's a closer look at Gary Himes. He wants to clean that visor right now. Got a lot of dust up in there from the close racing today. Still can't get that visor quite like he wants it. Okay, now he's got the rag that he wants. Pit work is done. Come on, Gary, get the visor closed. Let's get going here. Fourth place is at stake. All right, now he's underway. Back out into fourth place still. Let's check in again on Lynn St. James. She's made it to the infamous silt beds.
Looks and sounds like she's lost a lot of speed here, Jerry. It's going to be real tough for her to get through this sand.
Another buggy going by here. We can see that Lynn St. James has stopped. That's Joel Stankovich. And, oh, looks like Russ Jones is stuck here, too. Well, I guess you could say that Lynn St. James is well and truly stuck at this moment, Dave.
That truck looks like it's down completely to the frame.
And through the bog at this point is Clive Skilton. You know, I saw that mirror earlier hanging there. I think that's been hanging for 100 miles. Russ Jones now trying to get unstuck with the help of a few bystanders, and oh, that's nasty, dirty work.
Looks like they may be headed in the wrong direction. That back wheel is digging deeper and deeper.
Yuck, enough of that. I bet you don't miss that, do you, Dave?
Not a bit, thank you.
Well, another vehicle's coming through now, and that's Bill Dickton. You notice how easily this four-wheel drive vehicle goes through this stuff.
Well, St. James had four-wheel drive, too, and look where it got her.
Stuck, right?
But you're only about 2 miles
from the...
Yeah, I know.
From the looking for a shovel, I guess. I think she'll need more than that.
They haven't been able to radio back to know that they got it.
She can't get any response on her radio. Now, here's one of our earlier front runners, Bob Ritchie. He's stuck, too, it sounds like.
Listen to that motor go up in that car. Boy, I'll bet that clutch is burning. But looks like he's going to get it underway.
Now, why did he get out, Dave, and the trucks are stuck here?
Jerry, probably two reasons: location of the engine and the weight of the vehicle.
Yeah, no weight on those rear tires in those trucks. Now, here comes second overall, Larry Ragland.
Larry is a real pro at this. He's probably been through every silt bed in the whole world, and he just knows how to handle this job.
Well, more problems continuing here for St. James and her co-driver, Kathy Hamilton, and nobody's coming out here to help them yet. On the clock now, Jim Smith has blasted his way into the top 5 overall, but the same way he blasted through the silt there. And that caused a lot of dust to be kicked up, and oh, it's impossible to see. Here comes another buggy, but uh-oh. That sounded like he hit the back end of Lynn St. James's truck, whoever that is. You see him churning up the dust, and here comes J.R. Broughton in that truck that was turned over earlier. Look out, everybody goes jumping, including our camera woman. Boy, he went right through her position. It's a good thing she moved.
JR obviously had to slow down in this situation, and now he's paying the price. Looks like he's stuck.
Well, it hasn't been a good race for him so far. You remember, he was rolled over earlier, and St. James, of all people, got stuck trying to pass him. Now, that's an ironic twist, isn't it? Wow, miserable. Cars parked every place there. Well, talk about irony. Look who has hit Lynn St. James. It's poor Mike McClune. Now, you remember, he is the guy who almost crashed when he tried to pass her earlier.
I'll bet he is thrilled to see her again. You know, they really ought to be old friends by now.
Well, looks like McClune has enlisted the help of a few brave souls to try and push him out of this mess. Let's hope they can get him unstuck while we take this break.
Holiday greetings from Budweiser. The people who bring you Budweiser wish you and yours the very best of everything this holiday season.
Dolph Lundgren and Brandon Lee. They're two LA cops who are hungry for a little takeout. Showdown in Little Tokyo. Look for it at your video store.
That was then. This is now. Odor prevention then. Odor prevention now. Introducing the pump deodorant from Old Spice. It beats the leading aerosol deodorant. Actually prevents odor better with a superior formula that's right on target. Unlike that messy cloud. Pump up your odor prevention with the Old Spice pump.
The Buffalo Bills, Machine Gun Kelly and explosive Thurman Thomas power and all-out offense. Pig out when the Bills meet the Colts live at 8 Eastern.
It's Sunday night, Big Out, ESPN.
Jerry Garrett along with Dave Schott back at the Gold Coast 300, and this is David Ashley negotiating the infamous silt beds that have become an auto graveyard.
You know, there's so many drivers stuck out here that David's just had to go out into the desert and absolutely blaze his own trail around it.
The last time we saw David, he was down with a flat tire and lost the class lead. He is now past Mike Swellinger, has a big lead in the four-wheel drive class. Speaking of class leaders, here comes the leader in the box stock VW class. This is Martin Garibay, and, well, what is he doing right now? He's stopped in the middle of the course.
Oh, that is an absolute no-no. You just never back up on a race course in this kind of silt.
Oh, and that's the reason why. Garibay just gets knocked off the course, and the other vehicle is stopped cold. Trying to get the ID on that other car. It looks like it might be Doug Dawson. Let's take another look. Garibay should have never been backing up on the course, Dave.
It's obvious Dawson can't stop at this point. Perhaps the brakes didn't work. He hits Garibay at almost full speed.
And the damage to Garibay's bug, his terminal, his engine in there has been crushed. Vehicle that hit Garibay, Doug Dawson's modified class VW, appears to be having transmission troubles. Can't get it into gear now. Finally, some good news for Lynn St. James. Help has arrived. Russ Jones' crew is towing her out.
Maybe now this log jam in the silt will kind of break up and cars can go through normally again, Jerry.
That'd be nice. There's trouble, though, on another part of the course. Let's go there now. This is what it looks like under the rear fenders of Rob McCachran's Ford truck, and there's some major repairs going on under here right now, and word is that McCachran was reeling in Larry Ragland when this happened.
That's co-driver Mike Schaufstall supervising the replacement of what appears to be the entire rear end in this truck.
Let's talk to Rob.
Shouldn't take much longer to fix it. Just go see how things go and hopefully come out, and the other guys will have problems too.
Well, wishful thinking, Rob. Larry Ragland is having a flawless run, and time is running out in this race. Ragland leads the big pickup class, and he only trails Jack Johnson in the race overall. Well, it looks like McCachran is up and running again already, although too far up behind, I'm afraid, to be a factor. But, boy, is he flying.
You know, one of these days, McCachran's going to win a race with this truck, but for this race, his frustrating season continues.
Well, the frustrations appear to be about over for this man, Jack Johnson. He is on the home stretch, just a few miles to go now, and he's still leading.
Looks like a near-perfect race for Jack. Quite a change, after all, from the new car blues this team has suffered all year long.
Well, it'd be nice for Larry Maddox and the crew to finally have all that hard work pay off. We should mention now that third place still belongs to Ed Herbst here. Gary Himes was up to third, but he dropped back. He's in fourth place now. He ran out of gas on the course, miscalculated his fuel stop, unfortunately. Holding on to fifth overall is Jim Smith. Along with sixth place David Ashley. Wow, they're all streaking towards the finish. We'll see who gets there first after this.
One car manufacturer has more NASCAR victories than anyone. Winning over 350 NASCAR races over 4 decades of racing. That car manufacturer is Ford. And that kind of winning performance goes beyond the winner's circle.
Warning, up to half of all engine wear can happen when you start your car. At this critical time, tests prove Quaker State 10W30 protects better than any other leading 10W30 motor oil. In an overwhelming majority of engine tests, Quaker State 10W30 flowed faster to all vital parts. In all size engines tested, Quaker State protected faster, so it protected better. Get the best protection against startup wear. Today's Quaker State, it's one tough motor oil.
Plastic bottles and bags in our waterways are more than a litter problem. They kill. Hi, I'm Gary Jobson, ESPN sailing analyst. Don't throw your trash overboard. Remember, you can make a world of difference.
Jerry Garrett and Dave Schopp back at the Gold Coast 300, and this is Jack Johnson. He has parlayed a huge advantage, starting first off the line into a long overdue victory. His Jeep Cherokee has been plagued with mechanical failures all year, but today it has been flawless, and it has carried Jack Johnson all the way to victory circle. Meanwhile, Johnson's nearest competition is Larry Ragland. He is the leader among the big pickups, but he still has several miles to go. Let's go to Dave Schopp, who's with our winner.
Jack, you had a great day. We talked before the race. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, you know, I was having a real great day in the morning. It had a real good run, no dust and stuff. And about halfway around the first lap, I lost the rear brakes. And I ran the rest of the day with no rear brakes. So it forced me to kind of settle down and run a different pace. And I guess that made it keep the tires on and kept it together because it's in great shape.
It looks like everything went together today.
Well, quickly now back to the finish line, and here is Larry Ragland, second overall and first among the big pickups. Sounds like a slight exhaust leak from the motor, but otherwise no apparent problems with the Chevrolet. Meanwhile, our overall winner receives congratulations from his wife, Nancy. And now Dave Schopp is caught up with Larry Ragland.
You're back.
Larry, you had another strong run today, first in Class 8, Nelson and Nelson Chevrolet. What was the ride like?
We had a pretty good run, really. Took it real easy the first lap, waiting for the dust. I think we got down a little bit on time, but just did our pace. From that point on, we just kept going and started picking up time toward the second lap. And then they all went away and just kind of left it to us. And so we just pre-ran the last lap, just kind of cruised around, took our time. And I just worried about protecting our Class 8 lead for Chevrolet and BF Goodrich and Nelson & Nelson.
Great. Congratulations, Larry. Well deserved.
As Jack Johnson hugs his daughter, let's look at the top 5 overall. Ragland, Herbst, Himes, and Smith round out the top 5. But just missing the top 5, David Ashley. But a victory in the big 4x4 class was really all he wanted. You know, he's just one of 7 Rough Rider team vehicles that have been competing out here today. We mentioned earlier, looks like the team will wind up taking 5 class victories with those 7 vehicles. Let's check in on them, and wow, listen to that engine. That's Manny Esquera. Nevertheless, Manny is carrying now about a 2-minute advantage into the finish line ahead of Scott Douglas and Roger Mears. He just took the lead, however, a couple of miles ago from Scott Douglas. I think he's going to have enough left to get to the finish line. We hope so, anyway. Here's Sport Utility Class winner John Swift and his Ford Explorer. Chuck Johnson still holds a narrow but decisive lead. Just a few miles left now for the stock mini pickup class leader. And finally, brothers Paul and Dave Simon have built an apparently insurmountable lead among the mini 4x4s. Quite a day for the Rough Rider team in the Gold Coast 300. Today's Gold Coast 300 has been brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? For Dave's Shop, I'm Jerry Garrett. Thanks for watching us on today's Gold Coast 300.